Hello, everybody. I'm Rene Ramos, director of the Lynn and Louis Wolfson II Florida Moving Image Archives, and this is Rewind, the show that looks back on Florida's past with historic film and video. It's time for another trip back into the past, so sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Rewind.
WTVJ News presents FYI, for your information, another in a series of special reports. Tonight's program, Miles of Promises, is brought to you by Flagler Federal Savings and Loan Association, which 23,000 local savers agree is the best address for thriftiness.
Good evening, this is Ralph Rennick. Florida and the other 49 states are on a road-building kick. In the process, the public tax dollar is also getting a booting around. Greater Miami today boasts of its first expressway system. A ride on this highway, a glance at newspaper headlines, or news stories presented on your TV screen reveals things are wrong with our road design. Our superhighways are supposed to be safer than ordinary surface roads, but accidents still happen. You're looking at a sampling of some collisions which occurred during the past few months along Miami expressways. Expressway accidents occur at high speed. These spectacular wrecks have made a contribution to Dade's all-time high death toll. Just last week, while this program was in preparation, Governor Ferris Bryant set up a safety survey team to analyze Dade's high traffic toll and consider the relationship of road design and construction to safety. The governor said too little is known of the cause and nature of accidents occurring in Dade County. As a result, he said, we seek criticism of design, construction, and enforcement practices on these roads, which raises serious questions as to past action, current conditions, and future planning. Certainly, an accident such as this causes concern. A 19-year-old expectant mother has her car rammed from behind and plunges over a low concrete bridge wall, smashing through an aluminum railing to her death 50 feet below. The obvious question is, was this accident a freak, or do we need better protective concrete or steel devices on these high expressway overpasses? Just last Sunday on the Julia Tuttle Causeway, a sports car went out of control across this median marker into oncoming traffic. A passenger inside the plastic sports car was burned to death, the 154th traffic victim in Dade County this year. This date last year, the county had 115 traffic deaths. With 46 days still to go in 1962, we have already established an all-time record of 154. It should be said that no highway can be foolproof when it comes to safety. Drunken drivers, out-of-control cars, excessive speed can kill on any road, regardless of guardrails, median strips, and safety markings. But this does not mean highways should not be designed to be as safe as possible. Improper merging of traffic lanes and access and exit ramps, for example, can create accidents. That's one of the complaints aired about Miami's expressway design. William Wellens is Director of Traffic, Engineering, and Safety for the Florida divisions of the American Automobile Association. Wellens thinks our expressway design was outdated before the road was even completed.
We of the American Automobile Association, representing some 7.5 million members nationwide, are deeply concerned with the design and construction of our expressways. A good example of the problem that besets us is what has happened at our 36th Street interchange in Dade County. The 12th Avenue ramps, the 54th Street ramps, the merging sections of our east-west and north-south expressway. These are problems that should never have happened. When an expressway is opened and designed for 1975 traffic, and in 1962 can't carry it, something is wrong.
Nearly $20 million was spent on the 36th Street interchange. From the air, it looks like one of the engineering wonders of the world. On the ground, the State Road Department had to add these rubber cones in an effort to more adequately mark the turnoffs on the airport expressway. But engineering goofs on roads can't be solved by rubber marking posts. It is not our intention to rehash the revelations brought out in 1959 and 1960 by the Special State Legislative Investigating Committee, which probed Florida's road building. But a comment from the committee's chief investigator, Elmer Rounds, concerning the 36th Street interchange is of interest.
On this interchange here, we found one State Road Department employee who went to the contractor and demanded $20 a week, plus a bottle of whiskey and gasoline for his automobile. The contractor's work was lagging behind at that time, but it immediately was speeded up. And during this period, we found that the subgrade material, that which goes under the pavement, was inferior both in quality and quantity. The contractor had to tear the work out and do it over. The employee was subsequently fired. Another condition was where an engineer employed by the State Road Department was receiving his meals paid for by the contractor, gasoline for his automobile, and other gifts, some of them expensive. And he permitted a project to proceed, and it had to be torn out and redone. And this was a storm sewer drain on this interchange. It was started at each end and just didn't meet in the middle. So they had to tear it out and do that over again. The committee found this while it was in progress, and it got corrected right away.
There's a difference of opinion among the traffic engineering experts on whether there are safety goofs in the expressway design. Metro's traffic and safety engineer, Clyde Husk, thinks mistakes have been made, that the road is unsafe in places. Husk refers to portions of the airport expressway.
We're located here now on the western extremity of the Julia Tuttle Causeway, Interstate 195, between Northwest 2nd Avenue and the North Miami Avenue exit to downtown Miami. At this point, we're particularly concerned with what is a typical lack of adequate guardrail protection on these expressways. What you see here is what we call in engineering a 2-to-1 slope, which according to accepted policies and standards ordinarily requires a metal guardrail, as you have seen on other sections of the expressway. What we have at this point in substitution is a 9-inch concrete curb, which has been determined by the Bureau of Public Roads and the State Road Department as being adequate substitute for protection on high hills. This fill here is approximately 20 to 25 feet in height, and we cannot agree with the conception that a curb of this type, a simple barrier curb, offers adequate protection. We feel that these high embankments should be protected with guardrail.
In a moment, we'll take a pictorial look at some of the prized bloopers of recent Florida road building. Now, this word from Flagler Federal Savings and Loan. WTVJ newsman Mike Freeman spent weeks researching and traveling about the state and preparing the films and facts for this FYI report. Freeman discovered some real road building bloopers on Florida's west coast. State Senator Scott Kelly of Lakeland was chairman of that joint House-Senate committee which probed Florida's road building. His critics say he is now trying to gain the governorship by further publicizing the failings of the state road building system. But even Kelly's critics have to admit he possesses vibrant information which stirs public interest. Take the case of the Howard Franklin Bridge, a $7 million structure which connects Tampa with St. Petersburg. It was open to traffic just 2 years ago. 15 persons were killed in head-on collisions on the bridge when vehicles careened across the low-dividing median strip. This was the bridge where contractors used salt water to mix the concrete. The bad cement mixture has made the roadway so rough that a highway patrolman must spend time clearing away fallen generators and other debris which is shaken loose from cars and trucks. Senator Scott Kelly feels this way about the Howard Franklin Bridge.
Come with me now. Let's take a look at the wall and discuss some of the reasons behind a problem that exists such as this. In the frantic scramble to repay political obligations by the way of road promises, many roads and bridges have been built without regard to safety and to cost. Here on the Howard Franklin Bridge in Tampa, that spans the Tampa Bay from Tampa to St. Petersburg, since this bridge has been open, there's been 15 traffic deaths attributed to lack of safety on this bridge. Since then, the road department has had to build this monster here, this wall, in order to keep traffic from meeting the other lane of traffic head on. Another example, when if we had spent some time in regard to safety and in regard to cost and without regard to political promises, we could have saved many lives and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most important, the inequities that have been shown here must not happen again. The road department must be cognizant of the needs of safety and the needs of advanced planning. What has been shown here can only be allowed to happen when you have a system that apparently calls for a creed of political engineering. In Florida, we must have professional engineering. And to that, I think in our road department, we have the men qualified. We have private firms who are contracted with the state road department, who can do the job of professional engineering if allowed to do it. We then must return the road department back to the engineers and leave the political appointees for policy making only. Apparently, in the past, and as appears to be now, that with the appointees who comprise the road boards over the last many years, the creed must have been roll it, build it, stretch it, and forget it. This must be removed from Florida road building.
South of Tampa, another blunder was pulled in the construction of a bridge connecting Anna Maria Island with Longboat Key. The old bridge was washed out during the 1935 hurricane. The tides eroded the fill, and the state cabinet later sold the bottom land to the upland property owner for $1. In recent years, the State Road Department built this new bridge and pumped in fill at a cost of $800,000. After the bridge was built, the owner of the property called to the state's attention that the right-of-way was on his land. In settling the dispute, the road department let the owner retain a portion of the choice waterfront property it had pumped in. The owner plans to build a plush hotel here. And in addition, the road department settled the claim for the right-of-way for $315,000. Not bad for a $1 investment. But perhaps the best example of a lack of coordinated planning can be seen at Fort Myers. U.S. Highway 41 crosses the Caloosahatchee River. The district member of the State Road Board arranged to spend $2 million for a new bridge. The old bridge is on the left. The new one is on the right. If it looks as though it ends in the middle of the river, don't be confused. That's exactly where the bridge stops, in the middle of the Caloosahatchee River. The $2 million monument to the road system will be in use someday, but not before a spiderweb of difficulties are straightened out. In the first place, the road department never acquired the right-of-way at the Fort Myers side of the river. Just 2 weeks ago, the city had to issue $600,000 worth of revenue bonds to get the right-of-way itself. Right-of-way which normally is obtained by the county with its share of gasoline tax money. But the biggest problem comes at the other side of the river. The right-of-way routing on the north side of the Caloosahatchee has been clouded in doubt. Construction contracts will now be opened the 20th of this month with the hope that work on finishing the structure can begin by the 1st of the year. But in its present state, the people of Lee County call the bridge the longest fishing pier in Florida and the most expensive. The road program in this state is financed by a 7-cent a gallon motor fuel tax. 4 cents goes to the State Road Board for primary road construction. The other 3 cents is returned to the 67 counties for secondary road improvements. The State Road Department, in its current 2-year budget, will administer $796 million, more money than the $768 million appropriated to run all other agencies and departments of the state of Florida over a similar period. The child has outgrown the parent. All of this money is administered under the control of the 6 members of the Road Board, appointed by the governor. William Wellens of the AAA has some comments on the efficiency of the system.
Planning and design is not the function of the State Road Board members. They are to be the advocate of each district, and that alone. Let's leave the planning and the designing up to the engineers. Practice of roads for votes is a bad policy. Something should be done about this. Our taxes that we pay on gasoline today are more than we pay on our furs and jewelry. I would like to suggest that 2 things be done. One, let's pinpoint the responsibility for the design and the construction of our expressways, not blame past administrations and so forth. And 2, let's give our state traffic engineer the authority and responsibility he should duly have. He has none now. Let's give him some.
John Phillips of Lakeland is chairman of the Bryant Administration Road Board. Phillips is a road contractor by profession. This should give him an advantage over his predecessors who had no such background. The chairman is the powerful administrator over the road department. On October 30th, I sent Mr. Phillips a telegram requesting a film interview for this program on the subject of road design and safety engineering. Mr. Phillips replied by wire on November 1st, asking that a list of questions be submitted in advance. The next day, I sent the road chairman a list of 16 questions. Then 3 days later came the governor's announcement that he had set up a safety survey team. The governor, as quoted in the News Dispatch from Tallahassee, said the group would check criticism of design, construction, and enforcement practices on Dade's expressways and separate fact from fiction. The next day, Chairman Phillips sent this telegram, quote, "In view of safety team survey and political connotation of many questions, I feel it best to decline interview request at this time. Our concern, Dade highway safety, as great as yours, but feel our approach better." We are disappointed Mr. Phillips would not allow the interview. However, we are gratified that our request for the interview and our outline of specific questions dealing with deficiencies in the design and safety aspects of Dade expressways may have prompted the governor to name the special study group. Back in a moment after this time out for Flagler Federal Savings and Loan Association. Governor Bryant's newly named survey team might look into the following. What type of guardrail is best for our superhighways? How can we best keep motorists from inflicting death and injury on themselves? Critics say the State Road Department, the SRD, does not devote sufficient funds to research on improving safety design, that under the political system the most money possible is spent on building roads. Thus we have a situation as outlined by Metro Traffic Engineer Clyde Husk.
Located on a service road here now, just west of the Palmetto Expressway between Miller Drive and Sunset Drive. You're looking at a typical guardrail installation, which we feel is unnecessary. Guardrail placed in this manner is not necessarily required on a low fill of this type. It could better be used on higher points of the expressways that we've pointed out previously. This type of installation will not keep you from winding up across the street here in the cemetery. Generally speaking, it might be said that highway safety and highway economy should not be dependent upon each other. The two should be completely independent in the approach to all highway planning and design problems. Highway safety is the most important factor and the thing that we look for to protect the motorists after the installation or facility is completed. It certainly behooves us to be aware of highway economy in all our planning and construction. However, the economy should be based strictly on the physical characteristics and topography of the area that you're concerned with, and sacrifices should be made in other areas, not in design as they affect highway safety.
This is the district SRD office in Fort Lauderdale. The state is divided up into 5 road districts, each having a member on the road board, each appointed by the governor. In addition, there is the chairman, also appointed. The remainder of the road department employees are well-trained, talented people. The Legislative Investigating Committee uncovered some payments by contractors to employees, but the vast majority of personnel are above-board professionals who feel the whole department has been tainted by those revelations. The workers carry out the orders from above. In many cases, engineering design work is given on a negotiated contract basis to outside firms. The SRD professionals are sidestepped. Clarence Davidson is the district engineer. He says his people design roads based on projected traffic volume figures supplied by outside traffic engineers. When the estimates are wrong, the road design can't handle the load. Davidson candidly admits that he doesn't have all the answers. He says, "We are human, you know." An example of something that is beyond the jurisdiction of the professionals in the road department is the construction of the North-South Expressway from Rickenbacker Causeway to 29th Street. The right-of-way south of the river is being cleared. The expressway plans from the river northward have been junked. The state has spent $800,000 already on them. District Road Board member John Monahan was asked about this by Channel 4 newsman Ed Fleming, and here is his reply.
I'm very glad that you asked that question. From 32nd Road to 20th Road, the plans will be usable. However, when you speak of $800,000 being low, if at any time that you can throw plans away even though they cost that much money and save the taxpayers $4 million, it's a good save. We have a much better route, and we have a route that's acceptable to all.
The question arises, how did we happen to spend $800,000 on poor planning in the beginning?
I'm sorry, I'm unable to answer that. That was not during this administration.
Monahan's contention is that the new negotiated design contract for the expressway, given to a private engineering firm, would save $4 million in construction and right-of-way costs because of rerouting. Thus, the lack of concern over dumping down the drain the $800,000 worth of plans for the old route, which would have placed the highway closer to the heart of downtown Miami. That's the attitude. But Monahan and the present road board won't talk about the practices and mistakes of the past because they say they occurred during other administrations. The facts are these. Road promises are made by gubernatorial candidates. When elected, they attempt to carry out those miles of promises. This is the system in Florida. It has been a long-standing practice. But building highways based on politics is a wasteful practice, and it results in very little money being spent on safety design research. Each new governor names a new road board, and they start from scratch with little continuity in the state road program. What Florida seems to need is a permanent type administrator of the road department, with the appointed road members serving as a board of directors. The administrator would be a highway commissioner who can assure some continuity in the road system and prevent mistakes from being made by laymen with little background in the road field. Presently, each board member has virtual autonomy in making the road building decisions within his districts. Then, instead of building mistakes only to realize them after completion, we could achieve top value for each dollar spent. This is the Golden Glaze Interchange in North Dade. It is being rebuilt at a cost of $6.5 million. It has long been criticized as one of the worst cloverleaf designs in the country. When it first opened in 1953, traffic engineers had forecast its needed capacity at 18,000 cars a day. From the very first month it was operating beyond capacity. Last year, the inadequate interchange was handling more than 80,000 vehicles daily. And now one bridge, just 6 years old, is being demolished to make way for an improved design. These are the errors which could be eliminated if Florida's roads were constructed on sound traffic safety and engineering design and based on need, rather than being built as miles of promises.
Miles of Promises, another in the series of FYI programs for your information, has been brought to you by Flagler Federal Savings, where they will be happy to arrange the best possible mortgage loan for you on the best possible terms. Tonight's program, produced by WTVJ News, narrated by Ralph Rennick, written and filmed by Mike Freeman, film editor Joe Martinez, directed by Marty Saxon.
That's about it for this edition of Rewind. Just time to remind you that Rewind features historical film and video from the Lynn and Lewis Wolfson II Florida Moving Image Archives. To see more from the Wolfson Archives collections, visit our website, wolfsonarchives.org. You can search the archives catalog and watch video online. And be sure to connect to our YouTube channel, where you will find hundreds of carefully curated clips, or link to the Wolfson Archives Facebook page to keep up with our busy calendar of historical happenings. Until next time, I'm Rene Ramos. Thanks for watching.